Absolutely everywhere where we were, we looking into everything. Child, this is happening right now. Like right now. We are watching in real time, like in actual real time, uh like a shift in global energy. And what's really interesting is most people don't even realize what's actually changing. Yeah, so I created this for y'all. Look at this. Okay. So right now, countries are adjusting policies, like what real time, and they're doing that like just to keep energy moving. Okay. And when I say to keep energy moving, I mean like actually like the energy sources. Like this is an energy like huge shift, right? And war itself is actually escalating all of this, right? Supply chains are literally breaking down and decisions are being made. They're being made really fast. If you read the news and watch what's going on, follow, get it through multiple methods and all that, you'll see like there are some places even saying like they only have like a month's worth of energy conserved. So like this is not just little conversation. This is a huge conversation. It's not a new conversation per se, but what it is a conversation about what happens when somebody blocked you out of an opportunity, pushed you away from the table, but now you're in a situation where they kind of need you at the table, right? So before I jump into like that part of the conversation, because we getting there. We getting there. Before we talk about what happens next, we need to understand what happens when a country gets cut off from a system, right? Because Venezuela got cut off, okay? They got cut off, blocked from the table, blocked from financial situations, blocked from certain kind of opportunities. Yeah, that's what happened because we've already seen that before, right? We already seen what happened when they got black. I'm really interested to see what's going to happen now when people need them to come to the table, right? I'm curious about what's going to happen when people need them to come to the table, because this is what they did when they were in need, right? When they were like, my people have needs. We need certain things to be met. Y'all pushed me aside. Y'all blocked me from certain access. We literally sit on wealth, but you made certain movements and certain postures to make it difficult. And the ones who didn't directly participate in that activity, they co-signed it. So let's look at what that experience was like, what was reported about those experiences, what activities occurred, and then, child, we're going to come back and start thinking like, what type of posture do you think they're going to have when it comes time for them to come to the table, when it comes time to negotiate? What do you believe their posture is going to be? And when you think about realistically, what kind of posture would you have if you were put in their positions? So I want you to look at this real quick, and I'll be right back. I just want to say, like, when we talk about how severe it got, when they got into it with their previous, like, let's say middleman, right? The person's controlling your operations, you get into it with them, what's going to happen? You going to mess up the production. Your money gonna get real funny, because they're like, hold on, I'm about to let you benefit off of my connections, my plugs, and all this. So now that people are controlling operations, they probably not gonna do their job because they don't feel like they're getting the right kind of money. But they're also losing. So it's like everybody's kind of, to a degree, probably operating in a way that's not really helpful for either one of them, because they don't want the other person to get more. But inadvertently, I feel like everybody got a little bit less. Now, what I found interesting at that time, what I could find said that they were getting about 3 million at the peak, which is the previous peak, which would be like a barrels per day. So let's say 3 million or whatever. But now I think they say currently is under 1 million. barrels per day. So even much later, they still weren't able to reach where they were. You know what I'm saying? During their peak, right? So that's very significant. But you must keep in mind when we're talking about production and operational elements being caught off guard, you have to think the whole infrastructure was basically kind of structured around a whole external body that no longer wants to do. So you gotta think, if you're not paying technical experts, your subject matter experts, your production, you need to have tools and equipment in place. Anybody who has operated, look, are you okay? It's my little Frenchie. Okay. So anytime you are operating anything, right? Like whether you had a home or you have a car, anything, you know that it takes money to make money. What? Dollar bill, y'all. It takes money to make money, right? So if you don't have the money, the bankroll to maintain maintenance takes up so much money when you have something, right? You got to pay to keep it up. If you don't have that, you're going to be in this position. If you can't pay the people to make sure that you can have efficient processes, because sometimes you need to cut costs. Sometimes certain resources that you maybe needed back in the day, you don't need now, or maybe you need more because it's older machinery, right? All of that plays a factor. All of it plays a factor. And that's something to kind of keep in mind as well. The machinery is been constantly working, so either it might need to be repaired, fixed. How much lifetime do you get out of it? All these elements. You gotta think about budgets. Oh my goodness, corporations, companies, and budgets. You know, people siphon off the money. Regardless, even in some of the most ideal settings, I'm sure there's still some level of funny practices, right? Less than standard accounting practices that are probably happening, or people are siphoning off the money. And, you know, literally, there were other elements too. Like, if I'm controlling the operational pieces, you think I'm about to connect you to somebody who's going to allow you to have access to the money systems? Absolutely not. So you're being blocked out of situations where you could go to somebody else and like, okay, I need this money so that we can make this stuff work, so that we can continue to produce at the rate that we need to, so we can match with the demands that are out there. Because right now our supply is low, so we're not going to meet demands. Now we're talking economics, right? Which we've really been talking about, but I want to further put that out there. I'm gonna block you out of access to the money systems that would support you being able to get the production at the rate that you need it to be at, so that you can move how you need to move. Great. Then you got to keep in mind they end up having other sanctions and things that were happening internationally that blocked them and restricted their access to what? Technology, spare parts, general investments, which further, like, basically strangulated them. And it's just like, you think about your whole operations being put in a chokehold. Such active language, right? But like literally your whole business is, you know, just going at you like that. That's gonna make stuff really difficult. Maintenance already hard as is. People already know budgets get funny as is, but now you literally have them, all your resources. You know, now you're like, okay, well, can I connect to somebody else? Blocked. You know what I mean? They snatching and blocking everything. So you really can't move. And on top of that, they trying to sue you for the other money too, you know. So that's probably was a strategy within itself, but you know, that's a lot to be happening all at the same exact time. All at the same exact time. So, oh, wait a minute. Oh, Okay. So Maduro takes office, right? So now we all the way up to 2013. Maduro takes office because, we'll put it this way. So Chavez died in 2013, right? And Nicolas Maduro assumed power. And unlike his predecessor, right? You know, he he inherited, it seemed like a lot, right? Because everything was gotta be, this is what he's inheriting, right? Now what's interesting, I find, is his leadership style. It very, very much seems like he really drove into that authoritarianism element very, very deeply. Um and within that, I'm gonna say this is where stuff really starts to become a cautionary tale. It starts to become a cautionary tale because the story kind of began with people having a grievance and a concern, right? Frustration over oil sovereignty, and wanting to feel like they get a fair shake. You know what I'm saying? Like, give us our propers, like, give us what is fair, especially when it's our resource. And, like, we ask you, just help us move in the room, right? It just turned into something really kind of like dark. Like, it's truly a cautionary tale about what happens to, like, legitimate grievances, right? Because we all have grievances to a degree, right? No matter what country you come in. And thank you all for the 30% of my community here that's international, right? We all have grievances, right? But what happens when someone weaponizes your grievance, your pain, you're just. Yeah, so are we ready for the question? Are we ready for the question? The real question, the real tea. What happens when the system that shuts you out, blocked you when you were in need, when you and your constituents were in need, when you say, hey, we need to be invited to this table, hey, we need to be able to make moves with what we got the asset, we just need the opportunity, right? We've been speaking on what opportunity. We just need the opportunity, the resources, the connects, the plug. What happens when that system that shuts you out is now in need? They are now in need. They are now in a position where they need to come to you. They literally have to come back to you and negotiate. It makes you wonder about how that conversation is going to go. I'm just so interested to see what the posture is going to be, the angling for these negotiations, right? Is it not interesting, child? Tell me I didn't come with them receipts, because what? We getting into these receipts. Child, if you like this kind of breakdown where, I kind of like show you the maps, I kind of take my time and walk us through it. If you like the breakdowns of connecting what's happening in real time, because child, I'm all up in these receipts, go ahead and subscribe, right? I know some people like to, just sit around, like marinate. What we do, we marinate on this page. That's cool. Keep on, stay tuned, stay with me, right? Continue to watch the videos. Go ahead and like it so it lets YouTube know that you, in fact, find this content interesting, that you would recommend somebody else having access to it. And go ahead and subscribe when you're ready, because look, we're here for you. Listen, this community is built for all of us. We are all learning together. We're sharing together. And child, what we getting into these receipts? We getting into these receipts because what? We're going to keep building this out. Because child, what? Hot mess. I'm curious what they're going to do. Because in the comments, I want y'all to tell me what you think they're going to do. And maybe some of y'all can tell me what you would do if you were in their position. Because very interesting question. As I say, questions that need answers. I'll see you in the next video.